what ultimately led to the Jon Gruden resigning?
Well, I mean, all you have to do is look at all the emails, and it certainly seemed like there was mounting pressure on Mark Davis to make this move. And I know that Jon Gruden announced his resignation, and we could debate what did and didn't happen, and Jon didn't want to be a distraction, but Jon also had 6 years and upwards of $60 million left in his contract. And forgive me for being a little skeptical about him just walking in and saying to Mark Davis, I know that I've messed up. I know I've brought embarrassment and shame to this organization, but take that $60 million. I don't need any of it. So, again, that's a different topic for another day, and it's not the focus, nor should it be right now. What's more important is all these emails that were uncovered. And to answer your question here, the first one came out on Friday from the Wall Street Journal, in which to use a racial trope against the executive director of the NFLPA, DeMaurice Smith. And immediately when that came out, I began getting calls from people saying that there's no way that Jon could survive this, that it would sink the team this season. And then the weekend played out where essentially the Raiders made a comment and moved on. Jon coached the game. And it seemed like the Raiders wanted to move on with them taking care of whatever Mark Davis did in terms of discipline in private. And then shortly before we went on the air last night, on Monday Night Countdown, you could tell that this matter wasn't over yet, because I was starting to get calls that there were more emails on top of the ones that Chris Mortensen reported on Sunday that were in the possession of Mark Davis, and that the NFL was waiting to see how Mark Davis would handle all this. And clearly, the league, which announced on Friday that the emails that Jon sent about DeMaurice Smith were abhorrent and against the NFL's values, was waiting to see how Mark Davis would handle this. And when nothing happened, lo and behold, about an hour and a half later, here comes the next story from the New York Times detailing a slew of emails that were racist and sexist and homophobic over 7 years worth of time. And Mark Davis had been on his way into the Raiders building a short time before there. He met with Jon Gruden. Jon Gruden's out. Jon Gruden announces that he'd resign, not to be a distraction. And there you go. Essentially, a storied football career that included being a Super Bowl winning head coach, a prolific Monday Night Football announcer, the head coach of a Raiders team that moved to Las Vegas, a guy that had fame and fortune and everything, essentially saw his NFL career end in disgrace on Monday Night Football, ironically enough. And that's essentially what unfolded here over the last 72 or so hours.
I really appreciate you, Adam, because you are certainly the hardest working individual in this league as an insider, no question about it, because I swear it feels like I just listened to you a couple hours ago and you've gotten zero sleep and chasing this horrible story. Over the last 12 hours since these emails have been discovered and Gruden offensive language and all the different things that the New York Times has reported, what has been the sentiment around the league and around what people are saying?
I think there's a couple of things here that are interesting to me. Number one, I think people are curious how a investigation about the Washington football team resulted in the fall and disgrace of Jon Gruden. We started on Washington and uncovering everything that had gone wrong with that organization and wound up with the Raiders head coach basically being publicly embarrassed and shamed over a slew of emails sent over a 7-year period. That's number one. Number two, what people also have found interesting in the various conversations that I've had is that how could a man who has been so successful and so smart and so full of life and so full of leadership and being an example make the decisions he did to put what he felt in writing on multiple occasions and to email that out. Now, you could say the world was a different place 10 years ago and people didn't know as much to put things in email, and that's fine. But this pattern of behavior went up until 2018. And certainly there was a different world here a few years ago than it was 10 years ago. And yet Jon Gruden continued to send out photos of women and make the slurs that he did and insult people, ranging from Roger Goodell to NFL owners to NFL reporters. And it's all there in black and white, literally, for everybody to read. And what he said, as Booger McFarland said, at night gets seen in the light of day. And that's what we have here, the fact that a Washington football team investigation turns into something else, although that investigation is still ongoing, and how Jon Gruden continued to send documented beliefs that are offensive to so many people.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.